Hey everyone, today we're going to be going over the deck recommendation for the Thestalos raid in Cross Duel. You may notice I don't know, like a reoccurring theme with our ace monster here. To be honest, the ace monster in this one doesn't necessarily have to be Neos. This raid is very focused on assist healing. And so you really ideally want your ace monster to be your best boss buster monster. Now, the reason why I have Neos is sometimes the boss sends, obviously, enemies towards you, and I can use Neos to kind of get an attack in on that turn, and then he comes back to my hand, and I can use him again on the final turn. So Neos does offer some advantages in that if you have the resources, you can get these like extra attacks in on the boss. But it really isn't that necessary, I don't think. Realistically, your ace should be whatever monster you have that has, well, that does the most damage, basically, during, the stun phase when the boss is weakened. So boss buster skills come in quite useful. Like a very good one for this is X-Head Cannon, if you have free boss buster skills for it. If you have like a Blackluster Soldier, for example, with multiple boss buster skills, that's another good one. Just whatever monster you have that does the most damage to the boss should really be your ace. Leviathan Dragon is another good one. Potentially Stardust as well, but only if you have the raid ability, because it buffs every other monster up by 1,000. So really that is a, 4,000 plus 2, that's like a 6,500 damage doubled. So Stardust is a good one as well. And that's really what you want to be aiming for here. Elemental Hero Neos, really, I kind of just put this in here as a fun little thing. It really doesn't need to be your ace. In fact, I think if you have Leviathan or Stardust, that might be a better card to be your ace. You really don't need to do too much extra damage to the boss until the sort of that end phase. If you can, it does help, but you don't necessarily need to. Now, as I said, this boss is all about assist healing. So you want to have every single assist heal monster you have in your deck. And ideally, the more assist heals you have, the better. Because the boss is going to have, at least at the high levels, he is going to reduce your assist healing by 400. Which means if you just have a normal monster, it's only going to heal you by 100. If you have an assist heal with one slot, it's going to heal you by 600. And then 2 slots is going to heal you by 1,100 and so forth. So if you have more slots, they do significantly more. And the boss is also going to put burn on or ignite on all of your monsters. So monsters you have that have the immunity to negative status is also very, very good. The boss can take out all 8,000 of your health in a single turn if you're not careful. And you are going to be looking to basically healing back 6,000 to 7,000 a turn. Obviously not just you, that's like you and all your allies combined. So yeah, every assist heal monster you want to put in, and if possible you do want to get free slots for all of them. It isn't absolutely necessary, but definitely having free on a number, I've got 2 on quite a few here, but if you have free on at least a number of them, it really, really, really helps out. Right, so apart from all of these assist heals, I have X-Head Cannon in. It's really just because I have the spare cards, and it can be more powerful than Neos at times. It's really not needed. Again, as long as you have your most powerful monster as your ace, that is all that matters. And as mentioned, I also have Leviathan Dragon in as well, because if I draw it, then sometimes on the stun phase, I can summon both, my powerful boss buster monster and Leviathan Dragon and do a ton of damage to the boss that way. To be honest, realistically, Leviathan Dragon should probably be my ace in this duel because of it powering up it to 5,000 and also powering up all the other monsters in the battle. The only issue with that, again, the reason why I do have Neos as my ace is just in case the boss sends raid monsters at me and I can use Neos to chip away at its health a bit before we get to that stun phase. Again, really up to you. I would put your most powerful boss buster monster as the ace. So apart from that, we only have a couple spells and traps. I've actually got in Rod of Silence, and this is basically just because I've run out of assist heal monsters, so I have the Rod in, and doing that extra little bit, like keeping this in hand to do that extra little bit of healing when you need it, can be really good. I've got in Stray Lambs. This is just to kind of throw 2 lambs down on each lane for potentially when the boss has a trap out and you can't summon a monster in that lane and you want to get something to go down there. or just use them as sacrifices for Neos or or Leviathan or Bloom Diva that I have in here. And I have Energy Absorbing Monolith. Now this one is one that you really just, you want to put down at a relevant time. The boss can sometimes catch your monsters going down the lane and stop them and give them more burn, which means you're going to take more damage. There are turns like these where the boss can basically threaten to beat you, and these are the turns that you want to put something like this down. This doesn't recover life points for anyone, it's just your monsters, but that can still be more than enough to keep you alive. You know, it can be the difference between life and death. Another good trap card that you can put in is Chivalry, as this basically prevents all of your monsters from getting that skill that the boss puts on them. The downside about this card, and the reason why I don't have this in over the Monolith, is when the boss does a skill which kind of gives your monsters burn, it will usually trigger off of that and not the skill that gives everything burn. So this this one's a bit more muted, it's not quite as good as the other ones. That is the deck. Just put in every single assist heal monster that you have. If you have Leviathan Dragon or Stardust or any ultra rare that has this raid ability, and you have unlocked that, stick it in. And as for I would do a normal, a cut down version of this deck, but I think it's pretty obvious what a cut down version of this deck would be. It would be all these, literally any assist heal monster you have. I would probably have in Chivalry if you don't have all of the super rares, and yeah, and then I guess if there's still slots open after that, I would probably put in anything you have that heals you. Any monster that has healer on it that doesn't necessarily have assist heal, those would be good cards to put in as well, and any monster that also has immunity to negative status, because you can throw those down to defend you or go down the lanes, and they're not going to accrue burn that could threaten you, that could threaten to beat you. So that's the deck. Let's get onto the duel. So, as you might notice right from the get-go, we're actually playing with free AI. I don't know if this is because there were just not many people raiding at the time of doing this, but yeah, apart from some of the very, very early levels, I pretty much got AI for all my games. I did team up with some people midway through, but what I found was that you can actually beat all of these high levels playing with AI. This raid boss doesn't require a ton of strategy in thinking about okay, do I need to hold back a monster from this ability? Do I need to, do this from this ability? All you really need to do with this monster is just have a constant stream of monsters going down the lane. And I think that's why the AI is actually not that bad in this one. So, as you can see here, we're putting a monster down the right lane. We always want to be putting a monster down the lane with the object in, as this is going to reduce that number on the object, and then when we finally get rid of it, it will increase the amount that we can heal. The boss has put down big burn on the opponent, or on our allied lane, which means if they put down a monster with 1500 attack or less, it will be instantly destroyed. And as you can see, the AI is actually smart enough now that they don't put down monsters in that lane when the boss uses that ability. Amazing, isn't it? As you can see, the trigger to get the boss in its stun phase is doing an amount of assist heal. So you can do this faster by putting monsters down in both lanes, but you have to be careful because the more monsters you put down, the more burn you're going to take at the end of the turn. And if the boss catches those monsters in one of those lanes with an ability on the next turn, that is kind of what could end up defeating you. But you have plenty of turns, even if you don't put down monsters in both lanes, there is actually plenty of time to get the boss down all the way, even on the higher levels like this. So the boss's skill that he's just using at the moment will negate any immunities that a monster might have, that your highest level monster has, and then immobilize it and give it burn. This is one of the spells that can catch you out and can beat you. And this would also be like one of those times where you want to put down that trap card that can reduce the damage for the turn, etc. And when you're playing with AI, I think this is probably the main factor of whether you will get beaten or not, is usually just if the AI gets caught out in a lot of these traps and everything, and if you get unlucky, for example, if next turn the boss has another immobilizing ability on the lane that with the monster that just got immobilized, increasing the burn even more. So this is in fact, the ability I was just talking about, where any monsters on that lane will be immobilized and given burn. That was why I sacrificed my monster on that lane, so I wouldn't get as damaged. And yeah, we're just lucky that the boss didn't put that ability on the same lane as the monster that just got immobilized. The good thing about if you're playing with actual players, like what we just did, is, and if you have an Elemental Hero Neos, is you can just sacrifice that monster in that lane to make sure that you're not caught out by any of the boss's traps. The AI is not that intelligent, and I don't think they have any other sacrifices other than the ace monster that they've just played. But this is one of those turns where we're going to take a ton of damage because of the boss's ability, so that's exactly why on this turn I am playing the Rod of Healing. And these, these spell and trap cards that we've put in to help reduce the damage or allow us to heal more, these are the turns that we want to play them. Just, I think ultimately on this turn we healed for over 8,000 anyway, so it didn't really matter. But these are the turns that you kind of want to save them for when you're going to take a lot of damage, and you want to sort of reduce that damage as much as possible.
That was careless. Are you okay?
And I think what you'll find is, most of the time when you're doing this boss, you'll probably get him into his stun phase before you even manage to take out the objects.
It's the main phase of the 5th turn. No monsters are coming towards you. What are you going to do? How's this?
And I'm kind of aware of our kind of lowish health on this turn, which is why I'm only putting out one monster. Again, if you putting out a monster in both lane is very good. That will definitely help you get the boss stunned faster, but it does mean you will take more damage at the end of the turn.
They're starting to move. I didn't like that. So what? That was careless. Are you okay?
And there you go, with free AI we managed to get the boss into his stun phase at the end of turn 5.
Ouch.
Now, it's important on the stun phase to leave all of your healers still going down the lane, because even if you don't manage to take out all of the boss's health, he is still going to be damaged by all of the healing units that you have going down each of the lanes.
You're playing great.
So as well as all the damage we do to him,
Be careful.
our ally to the left, his X-Head is going to do 500. Like all of this healing that we're receiving right now is going to be done as damage to the boss at the end of the turn. So essentially the boss is going to take an additional 10,000 damage at the end of this turn, and that's why you don't really want to sacrifice any monster you have currently going down the lane. Just sacrifice the ones in your hand if you can. And it turns out we did not need that additional 10,000 damage anyway. And there you have it. There is the Thestalos raid for Cross Duel. It's, in a way, one of the easier raids, but in a way one of the more difficult ones, in that I think you do need more requirements, like more assist heals in order to do. But anyway, hopefully this guide helped. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you on the ladder.